Kirsty, welcome to Speaker Spotlight.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It is fantastic to speak to you, and this is your second year being involved with the Dyslexia Show. People are really excited to hear your talk. Tell us a little bit about your background.
My background's in HR and operations management, specifically within the education industry. So that included like primary schools, secondary schools, and sixth forms. And I was a senior HR manager across a multi-academy trust and was doing the operations management. So I was managing a number of different departments: HR, estates, health and safety, which encompassed IT. There was quite a big role there. And for me, it was more about, I guess, coming to terms with my dyslexia in a way. And that was, at work, I wasn't always open about it. I was diagnosed when I was 7 years old. And I don't think the way that diagnosis was explained to me as a child was a very positive way of doing it. I'm in my late 40s, so I get things have changed, but actually then that stigma that I felt of being very alone and very different, I carried through into the workplace. So I kept it a secret for quite a number of years. But then being in HR, I found that more and more people, I was doing capabilities, they would make a disclosure and I would stop my process because I hadn't done the supporting element. And I thought, you're a real hypocrite. You're supporting everyone else, but you're not actually leading by example. So I changed the way I was working and became very, very open about my dyslexia in the workplace, explaining to people, how it helped me. Also, though, the areas and strategies I had to support me, and explain to people the small little differences that occurred to make it easier for people to actually understand working with me. And what I mean by that is a really small thing. When I'm asked a question and I'm really thinking, I will quite often look up to my left, and people would interpret that in the workplace as daydreaming quite often. So would either kind of go, Kirsty, can we have your thoughts on this? And I'd be silent because I'd be working away through my head. So then being able to explain that to people in board meetings and other meetings was great, because then they were like, okay, she's looking up to the left, just give her time.
It's understanding how not only yourself, how you operate, but your team's very much aware of how you work, and it's that positive communication. But it's really interesting because you're not the first person to sadly share that experience, but it is understanding it yourself, it's understanding that diagnosis, and also when you've been told the negatives that come with it, but actually it's also the positives that come with having a diagnosis of dyslexia and neurodiversity. But it's how we talk to children, even adults, about getting a diagnosis, about what this means and how this can affect you in life.
Oh, definitely. And when my second child was born, I joke and say he might as well have come out waving a dyslexic and ADHD flag, because it was so clear. And it was that I was determined he wasn't going to feel how I did at school. And that was probably the time where I was like, right, you need to put on your big girl pants now and actually research what this dyslexia is. But because before I'd only gone on what other people had told me, and that was from that negative point of view of what I couldn't do. So it wasn't until I was in my late 20s I actually understood the strengths that came, and that really changed my parenting towards him, because I worked in a very different way of kind of revision, schooling, all the thought processes to help support him. But it was a transformational progress for me, because that's then when, instead of my dyslexia being a weight that I carried around, I used it as a block for me to stand on and help me. And it kind of got me to really understand myself, accept myself. And I found it really freeing that I was able to see things in a different way. And I changed, I suppose in a way, I had a bit of a kind of victim mentality with it. And it was, why is it me? Whereas now I'm like, this is brilliant, because my strengths and my frustrations are platted together. And actually, I can't tell you, oh, that little bit of me is my dyslexic bit, because I'm just me. So it's all encompassing to whole. So it was a real self-acceptance for myself to actually understand me and I suppose in a way, love myself and then understand who I can be and what I can be. And it's just that reassurance. It just gave me a sense of calm.
Absolutely. And again, it's that positive reframing, so talking to yourself really kindly and seeing the positives that come with it. When it comes to some passed down trauma, it's very much a thing when it comes to neurodiversity. If you've had that bad experience growing up, that those words not be those negative connotations, and
Mhm.
that's why you don't want to. And it's reframing that with your children and talking about, yeah, you work a bit like me, but look at the positives that come with that. And I suppose even your career, Kirsty, how you support neurodivergent colleagues and people in your
Mhm.
team, it's because of that lived experience.
Yeah, and that was the kind of the real bit was I realized that companies didn't understand it, and that's why I wanted to change and get out of that kind of HR and operations management role. So I could really focus on helping those that are neurodiverse, helping them understand themselves, create those strategies to enable them to kind of fly higher than what they felt they could, but also explain to companies what is neurodiversity, how do they help and support their employees, and why should they? And not just from the legality aspect of the Equality Act, and it's not a tick box, it's about you getting the best out of your employees and giving them the best experience. Because we spend so much time at work, if we're not happy and we're not understood, then we're doing a disservice to our employees because they're not happy, but also as a company, then we're not getting the best out of them. So it's definitely a two-way program. And that's what I love now about the work I do is being able to have those conversations with companies. When talk about reasonable adjustments, I can see some people going ching 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 with the kind of finances. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Not all of it is really costly. A lot of it doesn't cost massive amounts. And it's about having that understanding and that that general base to go, okay, these are some of the traits that go with this condition, but not to make an assumption then that if someone says, oh, they're dyslexic, for instance, they will be X, Y, Z. No, they may have X, Z, K, would it, because we're all beautifully unique. So, and that's the bit that I love is I learn so much from my clients as well when kind of doing the coaching of, oh, this comes up for you. I hate open plan offices. I've got loads of clients that are dyslexic that love open plan offices. And I'm like, what? Why? Tell me. I want to understand. I'm a naturally very, very curious person.
That
So I
again,
love that.
it's a real strength of being dyslexic and neurodivergent. You want to, it's like peeling the onion back, you want to know about how people operate and how they work. And I was nodding all the way through what you were saying there, because it's, you can't put neurodiverse people in a box and think, all right, because they're dyslexic, they struggle with this. And it's every, which is the beautiful thing about it, every dyslexic and neurodiverse person operates completely differently. And that's what you're going to talk a lot about in your talk at the Dyslexia Show, about how to best
Yeah.
support neurodivergent colleagues in the workplace.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to be talking with one of my friends, Danielle, as well. And we're going to do a panel discussion where I got diagnosed at 7. She got diagnosed later on in life, and that the difference in that, the difference between the corporate environment and the kind of educational environment of which I was in as well, and just those different support structures and cultural differences as well. And it all comes to play of, yes, there can be some real differences there, but there'll also be some similarities as well woven in. And it's amazing. I'm finding more and more people are getting diagnosed later on in life. And I think that's because the awareness is growing, which is great. And I have some clients that go, yes, I want to go through a formal diagnosis. Others that go, no, I'm quite happy to be self-diagnosed. But even having that conversation about that assessment process and going through that, what is it like, understanding it and sharing our different perceptions on it as well. Because, I've been through a number of those different assessments from age 7 to kind of in my 40s now. I've gone through them at different stages. So it's been interesting to see how they've changed.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's that, it's not feeling like, oh God, do you know what, I've got another assessment or what else? But actually it's that self-awareness, isn't it? And it's exploring that, and it's learning about yourself. And I think that when you have that, it's such a privilege to your mind, because you know how you work and what can best support you.
Yeah, and it was, I would say it would be only my last 1 or 2 assessments I enjoyed. And I went in with the, yes, let's do this. And I was really curious and going, why are we doing this? What's this show? And whereas before I went in with that very negative, I'm getting tested of how bad I am. That was my mindset. And yeah, it just, even just going into them, I was kind of at the end being excited about it, whereas before, nah, I was dreading them. So it's the interesting difference between the two.
It really is, and again, because you speak very positively about yourself now, it's that reframing, and it really is life changing. Kirsty, it's been amazing talking to you. In the meantime, because the show is quickly coming round, where can people get in touch with you? Maybe get access to your services. In the meantime, between now and the show.
They can reach out to me. LinkedIn's probably the easiest way to find me, or the website, just Google Kirsty Heap, or the dyslexic coach, and I will come up. And it'd be great for people just to come and have a chat. And that's what I loved about the dyslexia show last year, was people just having a chat and going, oh, can I bend your ear on this? Yes, you can bend my ear, because I'm more than happy to talk about it any way I can help support people or parents. It's all, we're one big team.